From an England perspective, Macca,
Brilliant.
just so comfortable.
Yeah, I think the first 10 minutes were a little bit cagey. Then England realised that actually Sweden are not very good. And were very good in the end. Won really comfortably, as you rightly said. Nice, thorough, professional job. They never looked in any moment of danger. And qualified an absolute cancer, to be honest. Very pleasing day. Can't have any qualms about the way England played because they were so comfortable. I must admit, I thought Sweden were woeful. All the things we've said about them being organised and strong and defensively sound, that went all out the window today, and they were a shadow of the performances they put in. But all credit to England. I thought they were excellent again today.
You kind of felt Sweden maybe hit their ceiling, and that was it today.
Well, yeah, but England were just too good for them. Didn't allow them to play. Henderson was good again. I mean, he's playing on a yellow card. Takes a lot of discipline. Back three were excellent again. Particularly, they've got two big guys up front, big and strong, that caused Germany problems, caused Mexico problems. But the Maguire, Stones and Walker threesome was playing really well. Keeper's playing great. Lingard and Ali were quiet in the first half. And I thought Sterling's been getting a lot of stick, but obviously his finishing is not great. It's improved, certainly improved at Man City this year. But his movement was pretty good, and his pace and running in behind. So I just thought it was a really professional and solid performance, and they never got a sniff.
At least he ran that way, didn't he, Sterling?
Yeah.
Once, just to break the lines and run forwards and just to mix it up a little bit.
Not used to this as Englishmen.
No, we're not.
It's kind of easy and straightforward, no penalty drama or anything like that.
If you defend well all around the field, which England did, they never really looked a threat. Pickford had to make 3 saves in the second half when Sweden started to put more pressure on. But I thought Trippier down the right-hand side, in the first half, although England didn't play expansive football, whenever they got the ball into the wide areas, they got crosses into the box. Granquist wasn't as dominant as he was against Switzerland, as we saw for the goal. And every time England had a free kick, it looked as though Maguire was going to win the ball in the air, which is a major plus for England.
Take a look at the statistics. England with more possession, more shots, and deserved winners in the end.
Comfortable, deserved winners. I'll take the point of Sterling even further. I think he's a player that when we were coming into this game, our concern was, or the concern of English fans was, okay, how do we break through this very well-organized Swedish back line and indeed the midfield? His movement in between the lines, where he created separation from midfielders dropping back and then forces the center backs to step into a position where they don't want to defend, that either opens up spaces underneath or spaces in behind. His recognition of those spaces was very good. He created that separation when he ran with the ball, and then when center backs stepped to him, then he ran in behind. That stretched Sweden, and there was space for England to play. They took advantage of the space, and as a quarterfinalist, you think it's going to be nervous. You think it's going to be tight. You think there's going to be a lot of things that may go against you. This was comfortable.
Although Pickford had to make 3 saves in the second half.
Yeah, well,
big saves.
Maybe so. But this felt at times as it was a preparation match for the tournament, not a quarterfinal match of the tournament.
Don't forget, Sweden beat France in qualifying.
Yep.
Right? They beat Italy over 2 games. They beat South Korea. Should have got some against Germany. Absolutely pasted Mexico. Then put out a very organised Switzerland team. It was no fluke that they got there. But England made them look very average today. I mean, I know they're a workman-like side, but they've been a lot more competitive than all these other games that I talked about than they were today. A lot of coaches at this World Cup look as if they've thrown their plans out the window. At least England came and have stuck with a plan. They're back 3, and the personnel is pretty much stayed the same. Also, all the teams are played. People can say, oh, they've played some weaker teams. Everyone they've played has been teams that have sat in and tried to make it difficult, which makes it kind of ugly to play against.
There was no way that really Sweden looked as though they were going to cause England problems because they didn't have enough pace to run in behind. There wasn't enough movement to create overloads anywhere on the field, and they didn't have anybody that can go past somebody with the ball. So when you've got those 3 things, or haven't got those 3 things, you've got a major problem. But England defended well all around the field and didn't allow them to play their game, get it up to the front players, and the 2 front players linking up with each other. They didn't allow too many crosses to come into the box. So it was a good performance.
The only game that wasn't defence against attack was Belgium, but the whole team was changed.
Sure.
So Croatia, semi-final, is actually going to be one of the first games in this competition where England are going to face a side that's going to go at them as much as they're going to go.
Might have more possession.
Might be a little bit more open for the Dele Allis, for the Raheem Sterlings and Lingards and players like that, because every team they've played has been teams that have sat in and put men behind the ball.
We now know the semi-final lineup. We will have Belgium against France on the Tuesday.
The bracket's easy to work out now, isn't it?
Well, I think you can just about work it out.
You think so?
I think you can certainly still see the easier side. Croatia and England, meanwhile, is the game on the Wednesday. Let's just take a look at the early odds according to the bookies. England, 6-4 on favourites to advance to the World Cup final. Croatia, 6-5. Ali?
I feel like you're coming to me first because I've denied you the opportunity of having me jump on the bandwagon. With
Yes,
you.
no, exactly, yeah.
Well, that's over.
Is it?
I'm going all in.
It's coming home?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what home is, but it's going somewhere. And I do think that this English national team makes it to the final.
Why? What's the difference? What have you seen that has changed?
Well, one of them he just mentioned, Craig, that Croatia perhaps is not as good as we thought they were. Maybe everybody looked good against Argentina.
Yeah.
Everybody has looked great against Argentina, and Croatia did as well. And I just didn't really like the fact that there were moments today where they could have controlled the game better and they didn't. I think England can do that against Croatia, and I think there's athleticism from England that can be superior to the back line of Croatia. So in the end, the balance goes to England, and yes, they make it to the final.
England will win, I think, against Croatia.
Robbo.
Croatia.
You're Mr. Negative.
No, I think England will win. Croatia's wide players, I think, will be taken back. You like that, don't you? Taken
Yeah.
back by Trippier
That's
and
that
Bayer,
way.
because that's what they did in the previous game, I think, against Denmark. So I think England will win the game. They will control the game.
Who surprised you, Robbo? Obviously, we haven't spoken to you for a couple of weeks. There's all this
And water in the garden.
In what?
in life in general.
Players or
Which
things?
player have you thought, wow, I didn't quite think that he would bring what he has to the table?
In terms of the England?
Yes.
I think every single player has done better than I thought he would. I would say that Lingard has done much, but he didn't play his best today. But I wouldn't have had him in the team at the start of the tournament. But now he's making those runs from midfield. He's been quite dynamic. Trippier, there's always the talk, was Walker going to play as the wing-back or was it going to be Trippier? Were they going to bring somebody else in at centre-half? But Trippier, who lacks athleticism when it comes to defending, has done really well. And he's got lots of crosses in, so he's certainly surprised me.
Right back, best right back in the tournament.
Right wing-back.
Right wing back. Of course. Early thoughts looking ahead to this game?
I think England, I honestly think England will get to the final. Just stop singing that bloody song.
Please.
It's coming
that
home.
won't
Right,
help.
I've nothing, no other qualms about England winning. Stop singing that song.
You were singing it earlier.
It's in my head.
It's in everybody's head.
Look, Croatia have got some great players, but England had a bit of a stroll for 90 minutes compared to that 120 that they've just played.
Back-to-back 120s.
Back-to-back 120s and injuries. Is there a plan for Modric and Rakitic? I don't know what Gareth's going to... I don't think he's going to change anything. But I just think England are in a good place. The back three are working great. Keepers been in great form. And I think the game will open up more. And we'll see a better Dele Alli and Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling. So I'm going to go for England.
Yeah, well, when we did our, whatever it was called, the predictor thing... Is it
Match predictor? Yeah.
I had England losing this game, but it was 10 days ago. And now I've seen Croatia.
You can't change your predictor now.
Can't I?
Because you've got the semi-final lineup exactly.
I got the 4 teams. Yeah, but
that's why you brought that up.
no, you brought it up.
You brought up the bracket.
No, I didn't. I brought
You brought up the bracket. When I did that,
I brought up this.
He manoeuvred you to the bracket.
I brought up this particular game. I said I didn't say the other 2 teams on the other side, but I had England losing. But now I've seen Croatia against Denmark, and tonight I don't think they've got that much up front to worry England. I thought Rebic and Kramaric are not that good. Mandzukic plays on the periphery. He doesn't play like a centre forward anymore. I think as he's got older, he's drifted back towards Rakitic and Modric and wants to play in there. And I don't think they'll hurt England. I think England will go through.
Modric and Rakitic never played high enough.
They didn't play high enough, I know.
So, and Kramaric playing in that hole behind, just didn't do anything. Scored the goal, but
England's back three look as if they can control that forward line of Croatia with ease.
Kramaric won't play.
He won't. I think Brozovic will play.
But that means that Rakitic and Modric might play a little bit further forward, but then there's not that much support for Mandzukic if the 2 wide players end up going in deeper areas.
I just think as a Scotsman, I don't mind. I just think I think England will get to the final. I think the playing out of France and Belgium's a completely different
game,
fish, right? But I do think England, and from what I've seen, if they're switched on as what they have been, I think they'll beat this Croatia side, who are a good side.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I think there'll be more space to operate, and I think that's going to suit England.
We all agree. We all agree that England's going.
So that's
through.
Croatia going
What
through.
could possibly go wrong?
I know, we've got 3 days as well. What's the weakness, Robbo?
Weakness for England? I don't think there are too many weaknesses at the moment. If they, against Modric and Rakitic in midfield, and if they've got to play somebody else in there, Brozovic, could they be outplayed in that area? That could be the only area. But I don't think when they do outplay England in that area, have they got the threat going forward? So can England get enough domination of that midfield to get their wide players high up the field, to get crosses into the box?
Wide players.
Why are we even playing?
And
I mean, if England's going to win the whole thing. Why are we even playing?
We win
kidding me?
on set plays as well.
What's happened to you in your break, Robbo?
Yeah.
Normally you're Debbie Downer. Now you're here singing on
I've seen England play recently.
Right,
They've been much better.
finish your show by singing "It's Coming Home." Just got the whole hog.
Can't do that.
Don't do that, Robbo.
From an England perspective, Macca,
Brilliant.
just so comfortable.
Yeah, I think the first 10 minutes were a little bit cagey. Then England realised that actually Sweden are not very good. And were very good in the end. Won really comfortably, as you rightly said. Nice, thorough, professional job. They never looked in any moment of danger. And qualified an absolute cancer, to be honest. Very pleasing day. Can't have any qualms about the way England played because they were so comfortable. I must admit, I thought Sweden were woeful. All the things we've said about them being organised and strong and defensively sound, that went all out the window today, and they were a shadow of the performances they put in. But all credit to England. I thought they were excellent again today.
You kind of felt Sweden maybe hit their ceiling, and that was it today.
Well, yeah, but England were just too good for them. Didn't allow them to play. Henderson was good again. I mean, he's playing on a yellow card. It takes a lot of discipline. Back three were excellent again. Particularly, they've got two big guys up front, big and strong, that caused Germany problems, caused Mexico problems. But the Maguire, Stones and Walker threesome was playing really well. Keeper's playing great. Lingard and Ali were quiet in the first half. And I thought Sterling's been getting a lot of stick, but obviously his finishing is not great. It's improved, certainly improved at Man City this year. But his movement was pretty good, and his pace and running in behind. So I just thought it was a really professional and solid performance, and they never got a sniff.
At least he ran that way, didn't he, Sterling,
Yeah.
once, just to break the lines and run forwards and just to mix it up a little bit.
Not used to this as Englishmen.
No,
Robbo.
we're not.
Being this kind of easy and straightforward, no penalty drama or anything like that.
If you defend well all around the field, which England did, they never really looked a threat. Pickford had to make 3 saves in the second half when Sweden started to put more pressure on. But I thought Trippier down the right-hand side, in the first half, although England didn't play expansive football, whenever they got the ball into the wide areas, they got crosses into the box. Granquist wasn't as dominant as he was against Switzerland, as we saw for the goal. And every time England had a free kick, it looked as though Maguire was going to win the ball in the air, which is a major plus for England.
Take a look at the statistics. England with more possession, more shots, and deserved winners in the end.
Comfortable, deserved winners. I'll take the point of Sterling even further. I think he's a player that when we were coming into this game, our concern was, or the concern of English fans was, okay, how do we break through this very well-organized Swedish back line and indeed the midfield? His movement in between the lines, where he created separation from midfielders dropping back and then forces the center backs to step into a position where they don't want to defend, that either opens up spaces underneath or spaces in behind. His recognition of those spaces was very good. He created that separation when he ran with the ball, and then when center backs stepped to him, then he ran in behind. That stretched Sweden, and there was space for England to play. They took advantage of the space, and as a quarterfinalist, you think it's going to be nervous. You think it's going to be tight. You think there's going to be a lot of things that may go against you. This was comfortable.
Although Pickford had to make 3 saves in the second half.
Yeah, well,
big saves.
Maybe so, but this felt at times as it was a preparation match for the tournament, not a quarterfinal match of the tournament.
Don't forget, Sweden beat France in qualifying.
Yep.
Right? They beat Italy over 2 games. They beat South Korea. Should have got some against Germany. Absolutely pasted Mexico. Then put out a very organised Switzerland team. It was no fluke that they got there. But England made them look very average today. I mean, I know they're a workmanlike side, but they've been a lot more competitive than all these other games that I talked about than they were today. A lot of coaches at this World Cup look as if they've thrown their plans out the window. At least England came and have stuck with a plan. They're back 3, and the personnel is pretty much stayed the same. Also, all the teams are played. People can say, oh, they've played some weaker teams. Everyone they've played has been teams that have sat in and tried to make it difficult, which makes it kind of ugly to play against.
There was no way that really Sweden looked as though they were going to cause England problems because they didn't have enough pace to run in behind. there wasn't enough movement to create overloads anywhere on the field, and they didn't have anybody that can go past somebody with the ball. So when you've got those three things, or haven't got those three things, you've got a major problem. But England defended well all around the field and didn't allow them to play their game, get it up to the front players, and the two front players linking up with each other. They didn't allow too many crosses to come into the box. So it was a good performance.
The only game that wasn't defence against attack was Belgium, but the whole team was changed.
Sure.
So Croatia, semi-final, is actually going to be one of the first games in this competition where England are going to face a side that's going to go at them as much as they're going to go.
Might have more possession.
Might be a little bit more open for the Dele Allis, for the Raheem Sterlings and Lingards and players like that, because every team they've played has been teams that have sat in and put men behind the ball.
Robert, when you looked at this on paper, you kind of thought, Croatia, Russia, it's not going to be that good. But yet again, this World Cup has defied us, and it was very entertaining.
Russia played with great energy. They got the ball forward into good areas. Their centre-forward always looked a threat. Croatia didn't play at their very best. And again, set pieces were an important part of the game. Two-headed goals. And it's been the case through so many games recently. That set pieces, whether it be a corner or a free kick bent into the right areas, teams are dangerous.
It's interesting, wasn't it? Because their extra time played out more dramatically than we've seen certainly in previous occasions so far in this tournament. Is it fair? Did Croatia deserve to go through?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're the better team. Russia, we're all surprised. I think they are even surprised that they got to this point. But they gave themselves an opportunity, and they get to the penalty kick shootout. It doesn't quite work out. I just think that for the spectacle, for the outsiders, not the Russian fans, for those of us watching from the outside, it's better to have Croatia and England in the semifinal, because Croatia is now going to test England. We're going to see whether they can maintain the same level of possession. We're going to see the best of England and the best of Croatia. And when we talk about the best of Croatia, you cannot talk about Croatia without mentioning Luka Modric. He was quiet in the first half, but when he got into the game later in that first half and then into the second half, he's perhaps the best player in this tournament so far in the way that he's able to generate offense for them, in the way that he's able to defend, the possession, his vision, and how come he's on the ball. That level of confidence, you can't just make it up. You know you're good.
He seemed to run quicker with the ball than he did without it. He went past people with such ease in that last sort of half of the game and in the extra time. He was magnificent.
You talk about a World Cup being energised. This World Cup has been fantastic, but I think Russia have typified that because coming into this World Cup, they couldn't raise a gallop.
Nope.
They couldn't raise a gallop. They thought, where's it going to come from? They've no energy about the side. They've got an ageing squad, particularly at the back. Cheryshev was a bit of a star for them, but he wasn't starting the tournament. So they've been, and I think momentum played a big part as well for them. They got a bit of confidence, and they were absolutely great. But I think England and Southgate will be looking at that game in a video and saying, that's not the Croatia that we know. And maybe, and we were talking about it earlier, maybe we rushed to, after the Argentina game, saying, oh, this is a great side. This is a good Croatian side. I don't think it's a great Croatian side, but I think it's better than what we saw tonight against Russia. I think they will be better against England, particularly the big players. Perisic, Modric, Rakitic, Mandzukic, who didn't have their best games tonight.
They done themselves proud, didn't they, Russia?
Well, yeah, because like a lot of people, including myself, didn't even have them getting out of the group. You thought, oh, that's it.
I mean, when you saw the end of the game, they were still running around. They had more energy than Croatia, didn't they? Croatia were dropping like flies, a lot of their big players, yet the Russians were, you know, Ignashevich, who's 38, 39 at the back, Akinfeev, the goalkeeper. I mean, they looked fresh as you like, and they were still, you know, at it constantly. And fair play to them, because we didn't have them getting this far, and they made a real go of it. I thought there was a significant gap between these two teams today, and I was wrong, because Russia acquitted themselves again really, really well, and they were unfortunate.
When you look at the equaliser with the header, Fernandez, when you talked about it, Mandzukic and the other defenders, they were static, they looked tired, they were out on their feet, and he went and attacked the ball, and it was a great equaliser.
Luka Modric, again with penalty drama.
Well, that's the difference, isn't it? I mean,
that could quite easily go on the other side, obviously.
Well, that's the difference between them getting through and not. I mean, what was it? He missed one in the Denmark game in normal time. Then he scored one in the penalty shootout. Then he's got to step up again. I don't care how good a player you are, or if you're playing at Real Madrid or not. It's in your head. Shoot out for your country. And Akinfeev guessed almost correct in every penalty. Did great. And that must have been a split second or 2 seconds when that ball was coming across.
Yeah.
He thought, that's hit the post and gone out. I mean, that is just the difference between going into the semi-finals and getting knocked out.
Welcome into Extra Time, another dramatic day in the World Cup. England are through to the semi-finals, Robert. We brought you back.
Yeah, what a game it was as well. What a good performance by England, should we say.
Oh, that's it.
You were in a bar, weren't you, this morning?
I was in a bar.
With your England top on.
Yeah, you would have been
Singing?
Singing.
He had a white face with a red little cross there.
I didn't paint my
God
face.
Save the Queen?
No, I didn't.
Did you go with God Save the
I
Queen?
sang God Save the Queen,
Yeah,
Three Lions, Vindaloo, the whole shebang.
Phil
Do you know the
Punton
words?
would.
Eh?
You know
Of course I know the
You've
words.
been out here a long time.
Eh?
You've been out here a long time.
Yeah, but they're old songs. 96, wasn't it? Three Lions.
What's it about?
Vindaloo was
National anthem.
Sound. Heard about the old dear.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Come on, get on with it. Come on.
All right.
Saturday night, lad.
I know. Penalties, easy or tough? Just tough.
In this circumstance, it doesn't matter who you are and what your background is. It's tough. It's a lot of pressure, and executing is not always the easiest thing to do. Yeah, it's tough.
Penalty shootout itself is tough, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
far harder than just taking a penalty.
I don't know how mentally you just
in the
do it.
10th minute.
Nobody remembers the people who score. They only remember the people who miss. That's the horrible thing about it.
Rakitic.
No, I forgot.
That's it.
Rakitic scored the winner. There we go.
Modric. Rakitic.
Would you take a penalty like the Russian number 10, Smolov, with a place in the semis at stake?
have
Anyone
to-
who played it straight, like trying
Yeah, I
to
have
dink
to
it?
be honest. That's not something I wouldn't personally wouldn't do that. I go for the marker.
The whip.
I always went for the slew across with a bit of
Yeah.
pace.
But like, how do you do it? Like mentally approaching a penalty, like you've taken them in the Premier League and things. Like, how do you try and block out all the negative thoughts? Because I'd go up there going, "I'm going to miss this."
Well, it's
gonna be
different.
horrible.
It's different in
Everyone's
a
gonna hate me."
regular season game than in the penalty kick shootout in the
sure.
World Cup. So I think there are stages of
Yeah,
penalties.
but still, in that situation, I'd be terrible.
I've changed my mind taking penalties actually in the run-up.
Really? But they
Because
say
the
you should
keeper-
never do that.
Well, I know, but sometimes the keeper, you might make a decision to go one side, and he's hedging his bets towards it. That's why you'll see a lot of the guys running up a little slower,
Yeah.
trying to work out where the keeper's going to go. So everybody's got a different technique.
But to your point, if you're going to dink it over the top, all right, you're either a big baller, Zinedine Zidane World Cup final,
Yeah.
that sort of talent, or you better make sure you score. Because teammates are going to be like, look, man, if the goalkeeper saves it, if you hit it off the post, whatever, okay, we can live with that. But you try to get cute and get it wrong,
What was your technique, Alan?
oh, man, hidden hope.
It wasn't a good penalty, was it? No, small offset. It was a real poor penalty. He didn't hit it high enough, and he didn't hit it in the centre of the goal. He hit it right to the goalkeeper. That's the problem.
You'd crumble,
That's
wouldn't
the problem.
I would be.
You'd be like,
I don't want to take a penalty.
Oh,
Trying. I've already even kicked it. Bobby. Subasic has to win the Golden Glove, right? He has been so immense, especially in the two penalty shootouts.
Yeah, considering he was...
He likes sneaking off his line a bit, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he did. And if he'd have saved a couple of those, I think the referee would have...
The referee was on top of him.
Of course, it was even better that he'd pulled his hamstring, couldn't carry on, and suddenly got himself up. And
Yeah, he was all right to go.
Yeah, he was all right to go.
I think he'd cramp, didn't he?
How much of Three Lions can each of you sing?
I can't see
I have
any
no
of it.
I have no idea what you're talking
I don't
about.
even, yeah, I don't know what you're talking
So this song originated in Euro '96.
Yeah, that's not the question.
Oh, what's the question? I've missed out a question.
all right.
So the English really think they have a chance against Belgium or France? I'm obsessed with Three Lions. And this is from a Colombian.
Is this a state road? So it is a question. So the English really think... No, they don't. I think they think that they have to play Croatia first, and then if they do play one of those two teams mentioned, you know, they'll approach it at the right time. But I don't think they're getting too far ahead of themselves. They want to win it, of course, and the fans are enjoying themselves. But they know they've got a difficult game in Croatia first. These are the favourites. Whoever they're going to play in the final will be the favourites. And everybody knows that.
How much of Three Lions can each of you sing?
There you go.
Right.
So
that
this
question
originated
before.
in Euro '96,
When
Macca was
when
playing.
Macca was playing and the Euros were in England. Vidal and Skinner were a comedy act, and they did the song with the lightning seeds.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Ian Brody,
And then
yes.
they did it in 1998 again, and for some reason, it's just all come back. 20 years later.
So 0%. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's Coming Home is from the song. It's the chorus.
Oh, yeah. I was whispering.
The Englishmen would probably know the chorus when they sing it, or the people.
Did you have to sing it as a player? Did you
have to sing it?
Yeah, were you in the...
Macca was in the music.
I was in the
video.
video to the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He talks about it with such great fondness.
A bit of rapping, wasn't there? A bit of rapping in it?
No, it's not World in
no.
Motion. It's not John Barnes.
It's not Barnsley's one.
Barnsley loved that, didn't he?
That was in.
Yeah.
That was 1990 or the 86,
Top of the pops.
86 World Cup. Was
So what are you doing in the video, though?
Well, we would just say, you know, they were going to make the song, and it was a case of, you know, 6 players go and speak to the press. You 6 go and do this video with such a thing. It's
Right.
like, oh, do we have to?
Right.
Stand there, mouth the words, you know, as they, you know, whatever. They cut it all up, and suddenly you're in it, and then, you know,
So you were singing.
I was,
It's like FA
I was-
Cup.
I was a contributor.
Okay, all right.
Do you get any royalties?
No, I don't get any.
It's like FA Cup finals. It's gold standard.
Were you in the Chelsea one? What was
Trying to make a song
the
with-
blue?
Oh,
It's going to be a
Suggs.
blue day.
Suggs.
Yeah. Were you in that one?
We're all in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Standing like idiots at the back. Well, he sung.
That's another.
Were your teeth in or out for the song?
That's not nice, is it?
He's a
Come
fighter.
on!
I just like it. Look.
Come on!
We've had a happy day today. Don't go and upset them.
Talking about my teeth.
Exactly.
Unnecessary.
Robert, have you ever
I've got to buy
been in a
them.
music
Yes,
video?
it was before the Euro 2000. No, what was the one in Germany? So Euro '88. I was in the video on Top of the Pops on Wogan. I was in
What
the
song
English
was
squad.
that?
Oh, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, come on, Bob. I don't believe you.
And
don't
how was
remember
the hair
song.
back then?
Oh, the hair was long locks,
Flowing,
quiff
flowing.
as well. Yeah.
Oh, a little something.
I had some of that.
You're on top of the pops, Robert. Wow, I bet you really fitted in.
I've got to say, I didn't enjoy it.
Surprise.
He never actually knew Arsene Wenger back then, but he hated him. He said, I don't know you, but I've hit Arsene Wenger, but I hate you.
Wenger out. Wenger out. And a Wenger out shirt on.
I'm ready to come back now.
Is Roberto Martinez really a decent tactical coach, or the victory against Brazil in the semi-final, well, in the quarter-final, was just down to sheer luck?
Oh, no, that's not
No,
fair,
I
is it?
think
That's not fair.
he knows what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And his teams at club level have always played some good stuff as well. Criticism of his teams have been defensively, but no, I think it's just his rhetoric sometimes.
Right.
No, he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
And he's got the right players to implement it. He's got really good players playing for him. You know, Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, Lukaku, to name a few. I mean, these are fantastic
And
footballers.
we talked about his defensive inefficiency at times, but then he's got Alderweireld, he's got Company, and he's got Vertonghen. They're good players.
There you go.
So he got his tactics right, didn't he?
If you want a clueless one, you go to the previous manager of Belgium
Wilmots.
when it came to coaching at that level. Anyway.
That's it. We are done.
Saturday night, sorry.
Yeah.
It is Saturday night, isn't it?
Give it away there.
Let's go.
There we go.
the England shirt on and sing 3 lines tonight.
What's it doing, Dan?
What? Who?
Coming home, Robbo.
How is it?
Just a reminder, we'll be back here tomorrow. Are you here tomorrow, Robbo? Yeah, Craig, you're here.
Last day
No,
tomorrow.
it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm off. It's my birthday. Hey.
God's sake, good job you said that. It's my wife's birthday.
Wow, what is it?
Well, I don't know what I have to do with that, but okay.
I remember you saying the other day.
That's it. We're done. Goodbye.
Welcome once again to one of our ESPN FC Facebook Lives. We've been doing these throughout the World Cup. Stuart Robson is back, and what a time for him to be back. England, Stuart Robson, yes, believe it, into their first World Cup semi-final since, my lifetime.
1990.
Exactly, my lifetime. That's 28 years. So the belief is there. They beat Sweden today 2-0. Some would have expected this result, so we know that we have a lot of questions coming from you guys. A lot of, is it coming home questions,
Yeah.
I'm sure will be coming in. So feel free to send them and I'll get Stuart to tackle them. But first, Stu, now, let's just break down that game. It was quite a nice, controlled, good performance from England.
It was. I mean, in the first half, I thought as you said, they controlled the game, both with the ball and without the ball. I couldn't see where Sweden were going to cause too many problems. I thought the back three defended well enough. Walker with his pace, red danger when there was a couple of balls over the top. John Stones could go and drop deeper almost as a sweeper at times. Then he could step into midfield. Maguire won most things in the air and defended well down that left-hand side. Trippier was the player that was able to get forward down the right-hand side. He did well and got more crosses into the box. I wouldn't say that Lingard and Dele Alli had their best games, nor did Henderson in that first half. But defensively, they won the ball back in the right sort of areas. And if you defend well all around the field and the opposition aren't going to cause you too many problems, you're going to be in control of the game. Harry Kane wasn't his best, but Sterling found spaces coming short. Then he ran in behind, so that was a good bit of play from him. And overall, England were the better team by quite some distance.
Well, I have to ask you to rate some of the players because, like, you named a couple, and I just saw, on social media, of course, a lot of people saying who their man of the match could be. I mean, a lot of people said Trippier, but Jordan Pickford. We have to go there. I know it's not Shaka Hislop here with us to get into goalie conversations, but just amazing stuff from him.
So we were talking about the first half. and Jordan Pickford had nothing really to do.
Exactly.
But in the second half, when Sweden came out and they got more crosses into the box, they threatened more, they were more expansive without playing particularly well, Jordan Pickford made three, I would say 2 outstanding saves and a regulation save. The one from Berg's header just after half-time was a brilliant save. Not quite as good as Gordon Banks in 1970, but getting along that
I wasn't
sort of
around
way.
in that time, Stu.
Yeah, well, okay, you must have seen it.
Jordan Pickford could be my Gordon Banks now.
Yes, exactly. And then the next one was a good shot, low shot, which he got a big, strong hand to. And what people don't give him credit for is the rebound. He got out very quickly and got or was there with Henderson for the rebound. And the last one, he tipped over the bar. So Pickford looks to be playing with great confidence. He's a good kicker of the ball, and he's made 3 very good saves. So that augurs well for England going forward.
Well, Everton might be wanting to hang on to him extra tight after this World Cup, that's for sure.
Well, we were talking saying maybe Liverpool are looking for a goalkeeper.
Maybe Liverpool are looking for a goalkeeper.
Well, they are looking for a goalkeeper. Would they go across the road to get an Everton goalkeeper? Or would he be allowed to go?
That's it, exactly. Yeah. It's a bit saucy, but it happens in rivals.
I'm sure we're going to get Everton supporters now.
Exactly.
About that.
Luckily, we're only going to take the nice questions now. So we have this one from Sackett. He says, should Rashford start before Sterling now? Because we have been seeing Raheem Sterling and a lot of people not too impressed with what he's been doing so far and questioning whether he should be dropped for the semi-final game. How do you see it?
I thought his movement was good today. I mean, he got in behind a couple of times and didn't take his chances.
So where is he just falling short for you?
It's his end product. That's the problem with him. But I think the movement that he's got and the intelligence he's showing coming short when there's space to come short and linking up the play, making runs in behind, is helping Harry Kane. He didn't have his best game, Harry Kane. I think he looked tired today. But in other games, he's helped Harry Kane because, you know, he can link up the play with Sterling. He doesn't always have to make the runs in behind because Sterling can do that with his pace. So at the moment, I would stick with Sterling. And it could be that after 70 minutes, Rashford then comes on with his pace and his... I would say he's inconsistent with his understanding of the game, Rashford.
How so?
Well, I don't think he always makes the right decisions.
Okay.
Sometimes that is obviously not good for him and the team, but sometimes the opposition don't quite know what he's going to do. And when he starts running with the ball, he might bump it off a couple of players, he might bundle his way through and go and score a goal, which is great. But he's a player that can frustrate, as Sterling can frustrate, because he doesn't always make the right decisions or find that final pass.
All right, well, a lot of people seem to be asking, what do you make of Jesse Lingard in midfield? He seems to always find open spaces.
He does, because it's a good system that England are playing. It's a positive system because you've got Henderson at the bottom of those midfield 3 and you've got 2 other players making forward runs. So it's almost, at times, they've got a front 5 England, or even a front 6 when Trippier's high on one side and Ashley Young's high on the other side. You've got a front 2 and then 2 midfield players making forward runs. It's very much how Juventus played when they were dominating under Conte and a little bit under Allegri, where you've got 2 midfield players that can make forward runs. He has to do the offensive side of the game because he's a good athlete, and so is Dele Alli. Good athletes, they can get back and they can get forward. So I've got no problem with the position that he's playing. He just didn't play at his very best today.
All right, well, I'm sure that there's celebrations all over England right now, so we probably don't have any viewers in England right now, but let's go ahead and get excited about the semifinals now. I know we still have a game to play, whether it will be Croatia or Russia that will face England. Stu, could you just put England up against these 2 teams and let me know how you would line up, how they should attack these 2 teams?
I don't think England will change too much. I think they'll play with the same system and they'll play with virtually the same team as long as the injuries are okay. And I think Croatia, having seen them in their last game, where I don't think they played particularly well, because their wide players, Rebic down one side and Perisic down the other side, ended up being fullbacks. They were taken back by the opposition's wide players. And that could happen again, because I think the coach is fairly defensive in his understanding. So if Ashley Young starts breaking forward, Rebic will go all the way back with him. Then if Trippier takes Perisic the other way, then they're left with Mandzukic up front and their midfield players not close enough to him. So I think that England could dominate the game if that was the case.
Well, we have a quick question now before we put them up against Russia, because there is a lot of belief for England, but there's still also a lot of belief and momentum on Russia's side, even though you would still favour England if they do go up against the host. But someone's asking, Dele Alli seems to disappear at times and pop up out of nowhere, like the goal today. How important is he, or will he be in the semi-finals for you? Like you said, he probably didn't have the best of days today.
Well, he hasn't had the best of tournaments.
Exactly.
I'd like to see more from Dele Alli. I'd like to see more from him throughout the season. But there was 2 or 3 times when the ball got played back to Walker, or it got played back to a midfield player, in the same position where he scored his goal. I'm saying, cross it now, because that's where Dele Alli causes so many problems. We've seen Ericsson for Tottenham. Ball comes back to Ericsson, and he, without even looking, he just bends that ball into the box, and that's where Dele Alli makes his runs. He's good in the air. He times his runs to perfection, and that was the case today. But they should have played that ball far more often than they actually did for his goal. There was times in the first half it went back to Walker, and Walker played it back out wide. It came back, and I'm screaming, cross it now, because the opposition are coming out as he's making his forward run, and he must have been frustrated, but he popped up at the right time, and it was a good header. Still had to get it right, still headed it with enough power, enough accuracy to beat the goalkeeper Olsen, who's been one of the best goalkeepers in the tournament.
Definitely, exactly, but he's no Jordan Pickford.
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment. All right, well, let's talk about now if it is Russia that managed to come out on top of Croatia and they do face England in the semi-finals. How do you, because the momentum is with Russia as well, so how do you see this lining up? How do you see England attacking them?
Again, I think they would stay with the same system. They'd stay with the same formation. I think Russia
Probably won't go out and attack them.
No,
anyway.
they won't.
Exactly.
Russia will play exactly the same way. They want to defend. They've got 2 midfield players that really want to get after the ball and win the ball back. They're tigerish in midfield, but I don't know that they've got the same energy as England. They've got a back 4 that I don't think is particularly good, but they've defended quite well. So they've got the only problem that they could cause England is their right back, who gets forward and gets into good crossing areas and gets balls into the box. And they've got a centre forward who's good in the air. But England have got big players at the back, and they're causing problems up the other end. I really can't see any way that Russia could beat England apart from refereeing decisions or having that little bit of luck. If it was down between 2 sets of players, 2 sets of tactics, I can only see one team winning.
Wow, England in a World Cup final. We'll get to that in just a bit.
If it's Russia.
If it's Russia, but Croatia will definitely be a different threat.
Yeah.
Now we know we like to, throw certain phrases around to describe people and whatnot, and a lot of people now seem to be asking, would you class Jordan Pickford now as a world-class goalie?
No, because my definition of world-class is probably there should only be 11 world-class players in the world, because you're saying you're picking the 11 best players in the world to play in a world 11.
So who would your world-class goalie be right now? And how far would Jordan Pickford be off of?
Well, you'd still say that Courtois, De Gea, Lloris, they're still just above Jordan Pickford, because Jordan Pickford has had a decent season at Everton. He had a decent season at Sunderland. He's got to play consistently well over a long period of time to be considered world-class. He's had a great game today. It was only against Belgium 2 matches ago when people were saying he's the weak link in the England side. So the problem with World Cups, you go from one extreme to another in the space of one game. He wasn't good enough against Belgium. Suddenly, he saved a penalty, and he's England's favourite. And now we're saying he's world-class. He could become world-class. He's got the athleticism, he's got the technique, he's got the kicking ability, he's decent with the ball at his feet. He's a good decision-maker. So he could become world-class. Not yet.
Not yet. So you see, slow and steady wins the race, but so far so good for him. But just talk to me about, quickly before we wrap up, because like you said, it seems like you pretty much are favouring England to get to the final.
And that's not being biased.
No,
that's just looking.
But that's what I'm saying. The momentum seems to be on the team. I mean, just what do you feel? We know the criticism that they get in the British media all over. That's nothing new to them. But this young group of lads seem to be handling it very well. There seems to be something different in the air now in this England team, Stuart. Do you find that?
Yeah, I think there wasn't the expectation when they went out there. A lot of young players coming to the fore together. There seems to be a good spirit, although spirit is only gained when you win. So you then see the other side of it, where they've got good spirit when they start losing games. And England haven't lost games for quite some while. They qualified with great ease. They qualified for the European Championships with great ease.
Which is kind of the World Cup now as well.
And so it's I think they've got great spirit. I think everything's going their way. The manager has stayed calm. He hasn't picked players that have been injured. He hasn't picked players on previous form. He's picked players on current form. I think he's done most things right. I'm not saying he's a great tactician. He didn't do particularly well at Middlesbrough. I was quite critical of him when he was the director of football for England, head of youth development, because I didn't think he was doing that in the right manner. But since he's been the manager of England, he's done everything right. So you can't criticise that. He's got the right people behind him. A lot of people you don't know about, but there's lots of people that have come through the FA that are doing good jobs. And they seem to have a great spirit, and they seem to know exactly what their role is in the side. So that's why England are doing well.
All right, thanks so much to Stuart Robson. We've gone Over 10 minutes now, of course, but there is so much to talk about, especially about England. Even though we did make it all about England, still props to Sweden because, again, not many even picked them to qualify for this World Cup, and here they made it to the quarter-finals. So that's definitely an achievement in and of itself. Thanks so much, Stu. We'll be back soon.
I'm sure we will.
You'll probably be smiling. Who knows? It could be England in
Are
the
you
World
saying
Cup
I never
final.
smile?
You do smile, but, you know, not as emotional as we
As
would
you.
think. As me, exactly, of course. I'm very emotional. Anyways, to catch all of the emotions from the World Cup, make sure to keep it right here at ESPN FC. And make sure to catch our show later on the ESPN Plus app.